Hey everyone, welcome back to Succession Stories. This is Laurie Barkman, and I am just so thankful this year for so many things. As we approach the holiday season, I thought it'd be a wonderful time to just take a few minutes and share my appreciation for a number of different things. So that's the first thing we're going to do is I want to share a few things that I'm thankful for this year. And then I also want to share some lessons that I've learned from the amazing guests on Succession Stories. And then we'll close out with what I'm looking forward to in the new year. So buckle up, here we go. What I'm thankful for this year. First and foremost, I am so thankful for my family and friends. And as we all go through life's transitions, I've met many of you, many of my listeners are friends and colleagues, but there's many of you who maybe do not know that my husband and I are empty nesters. And this year, more than any year, we're feeling that. We have our two kids, both are in Boston. And I'm just so thankful for my husband and my two kids and all the wonderful people that are in our lives because of them. And they are my rocks. They get me away from my desk. They get me, they make sure I'm thriving. I make sure that they're thriving. And both kids are in Boston. We've spent a lot of time this summer going back and forth, and we really treasure the time that we have with them. And really, now it's all about coordinating when we can be together. And so we really appreciate when we can all be together. We recognize that we are not the bosses of their young adult lives anymore, and that's okay. And I think that's our job as parents, is just to make sure that our young people are growing and thriving. And so I'm really proud about for them, and I'm really proud about my husband and I and our accomplishments with them. And my husband, by the way, is Martin. I don't mention his name too often, but just wanted to give him a quick shout out. So our friends, let's face it, as we get older, we're not going to make any more 40-year friends. So I think it's really important to treasure the ones we have and making time to spend with them. But of course, keeping investing in new friends, and I've sure to do that here in my area, and also connecting in back with people again that I really care about in my life, and explore, right? Continue to explore and nature. I've tried to get out there every day, take walks, trying new restaurants, trying new things. So it doesn't necessarily mean you have to go on a big vacation to explore. And that's one of the things that I'm really grateful for this year, is just getting out in my area and meeting new people, making new friends, but again, treasuring the ones that I have from many years ago. The other thing that I am super grateful for is my team and the hard work that everybody put into launching our new online course called the Endgame Entrepreneurship Masterclass. And I want to thank Caroline, Justin, and Emil. Shout outs to them for everything that you did to contribute to bring the course to life. And what we did was we created a masterclass from my book, from the Business Transition Handbook. And that wasn't an easy thing to do. I think we all thought it would be easier than it was. And by the way, again, shout out to Caroline. She is my daughter, for those of you who might not know that. And it was really cool to work with her for a few months on this. And, what we really focused on in this, and I think it was a key takeaway, was finding the right experience for the people who are going to go through the course, and the people who are business owners, CEOs. We created this for you, and really focusing on experience. What's the right experience? What are the learnings? What are the takeaways? And ultimately creating that impact so that you are building with the exit in mind. You're increasing the value of your business. You're multiplying its value by for many of you what could be millions and millions of dollars. And so there's such an important notion here, and whether you're a service business, whether you're a product business, is to do what's right for the customer, and that the outcomes will be better. And so we really did focus on that for the masterclass. And again, I'm so thankful for my team for all the hard work that they put into getting that into the world. And the other area, the third thing that I'm so thankful for this year is my community. It's something I invest a lot of time in. I have different communities that I spend time in, and certainly this show has helped build a community. We're building a community of entrepreneurs who are making an impact every day. They're making an impact for themselves, for their stakeholders, families, communities, and it's so, so important as we think about future succession and letting go. And it's our communities that ultimately many of us care about. We want to do right by them. This show, and celebrating the community of the show, we celebrate our fourth year of the show this year, and it's ranking in the top 2% of podcasts globally. Wow. Thank you. That's an amazing feat. And I really appreciate all of you who have helped the show grow by sharing it and leaving rating and reviews. It's really, really appreciated. So thank you for that. And I'm so grateful for our listeners all around the world. Shouts out to Canada, Sweden, and the UK. My husband is Swedish, and my daughter traveled to Sweden this summer. So maybe she single-handedly doubled my Sweden listeners with family and friends. So grateful for that. So thanks to everybody around the world listening to the show. And thank you for the amazing feedback on LinkedIn and your emails about how the insights from this show have helped you in your business, whether it's to innovate, to grow, to think about growth through acquisition or growth by organic growth, innovating to grow, and how you might want to think about your future for transition. And I think this show is really focused on transition and being successful. We learn from others and their challenges, and that's what we're all about, is how can we help you think through the challenging things and find clarity on some of the big problems that you might be facing. So thank you to my growing community, Exit Planning Institute, the Value Builder community of advisors, my colleagues at Stony Hill Advisors for M&A services, and the community that we're building here for Business Transition, Sherpa, and the advisory community. So thanks to everybody for all of our hard work to work together there. And if you're new to this show and you're new to my community, I'm so glad to have you. I invite you to check out our previous episodes and follow the show in your favorite player to make sure we're popping up in your feed next year. And also, our YouTube channel is growing tremendously. We've got over 2,500 subscribers, and there's a catalog of more than 400 videos, longer videos, shorter videos. We've got tons of short reels, so check it out. And if it moves you to subscribe, please do so. So the second thing that I wanted to share today, first thing, of course, we just went through, is what I'm grateful for this year. And now the second thing I wanted to talk about is the lessons that I've learned from some of the fantastic guests. And I've boiled it down to three themes. The first one is that we still find it very difficult to navigate the emotional minefield of succession and how we can approach succession with empathy. Heather Penny, who is a psychologist, has an interesting approach on that if you want to listen to her episode. Albert Schuchta wrote a book about the succession minefields that the successors can step in, and I think it's a very high empathy book. And I wrote a testimonial for him for the book, so I was really grateful to talk with him on the show. It's a really good read. Marianne Bell, Matt DiFrancesco, both of those conversations, similar thematic of, gee, we just need more time to focus on and appreciate for this emotional minefield of succession. So those are some episodes that you might want to take a listen if you haven't heard them yet this year, or re-listen to if that's something that moves you. The second lesson that I learned from guests is to plan ahead and look beyond the exit. And many people ask me, well, how much time do I need to plan ahead? And of course, the answer is, well, the more time, the better. And 10 years out would be ideal. And I know for many of you that seems so far away. So let's say 5 to 7, or a minimum of 3. And the reason why is because it takes so much time, and there's a lot of puzzle pieces to put together for ultimately what will create a more transferable, attractive, and ready business for sale. And let's not overlook the personal side. And so that's what these episodes were all about: the personal transition, the financial readiness and planning. And that's with a few people just to kind of shout out for these episodes: Jerome Myers, Pat Soldano, and John Easley. Those are 3 in particular that you may want to give a listen to or really re-listen to. And then the third lesson that I want to share from guests this year is that the riches are in the niches, and riches are in the niches, however you want to say it. And there were a few episodes in particular. Shout out to David and Chris Sinkinson, who were successful software entrepreneurs, and they are still brothers. And they wrote a book, and they've been sharing their experience, and I was so glad to have them on the show. They're really great guys, and how they did it and what went wrong, what went right. They really went all out in their book, of course, to share the details in that. So that's a show to check out. Henry DeVries also shared from an agency perspective what he's doing to serve the marketing agency community. And we also talked about his future succession. So I really appreciate that Henry was planning ahead and putting that out there. Tony Watley came on the show to talk about his experience with a succession and selling his business, and again had a very niche e-commerce business, a very exciting business that I know has inspired so many of you out there. You've told me about how you enjoyed Tony's episode for that reason, and also the fourth one that I would mention in this category is David Spray. David had created a service business with the intent to build to sell, and he did that. And so it was a good conversation about that niche as well. So those are the lessons learned from the guests. Just to highlight again, there's an emotional minefield of succession, and how can we approach with empathy, planning ahead and looking beyond the exit and what you'll be doing from a personal standpoint, and making sure you're doing the financial planning that you need to do, giving yourself the time to do it. And then 3, how do we focus our business so that one way to create enterprise value is to think about what niche and what competitive advantage your business can have. So those are all episodes that I hope you will enjoy. And now that brings us to my third thing that I want to share with you in terms of what on this episode, what I'm looking forward to in the new year, what I'm looking forward to in 2025. And of course, there are a few things to share with you. And I love 3. So there's 3 things. The first thing that I'm going to mention is manifesting. Manifesting in the sense of, let me put something in the world. Let me be positive about it. Let me be clear about it. And then I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to put it out there and I'm going to make it happen. And I've been thinking about this for a while. And the first thing is my vision, our vision here at Business Transition Sherpa. And what we're trying to do is to influence 1 million business successions in the United States over the next 10 years. Now, if we put that in a global setting, that number could be even bigger, but I just wanted to just frame it as the US for now. 1 million business successions in the US over the next 10 years. And our mission is to guide entrepreneurs to create generational wealth and life-changing succession stories through 7- and 8-figure exits. So those are pretty big, lofty goals, but I'm putting them out there. They're not goals, excuse me. They're vision and mission. I want to be clear. They're the big why. It's the big why. And it's a great time of year, if you haven't done this yet, to take some time and think about your big why. Whether it's for you personally in your transition or it's for your company. I'm spending time with my clients thinking about their strategic transition plan. And it is so, so important. It really brings a clarity to what we're trying to accomplish. And that leads me to the second thing of what I'm looking forward to in 2025, which is really, how do I bring all this to life? What's my strategy? What's my what, right? If we've talked about the why, what's the what, what's the how? And there's a number of things that we are working on, and I'm so, so excited to share with you and bring to my clients and people who might want to work in our community in the future. And look, you're going to see me out there. You're going to continue to see me out there on social media. Maybe you'll see me in person for keynote presentations and workshops. And I'm going to continue to guest on other people's shows. So you'll definitely continue to see me out there and get great content that you've been getting for hopefully the last 4+ years. And so who is this for? Well, it's really for CEOs and owners, business owners who have business operations that heavily depend on their daily involvement. They lack a clear roadmap for maximizing business value before a sale. How do we optimize the business before a sale? And that they're feeling unprepared for common pitfalls during the exit process. They're just not feeling ready, and they worry about that. And they know it can cost a lot in terms of delay and also the emotional toll that it can take if you're not ready. So if you're feeling like this might be you and you're feeling like you want to connect on it, we are here for you. And for some of you, it's the legacy that you care about. For others, it's definitely the value. And we could be talking about millions of dollars here. So is that worth a chat? So if you want to, I have an invitation for all of you as my listeners, a complimentary call, book a 30-minute discovery call with me. Okay. And I'll put this link in the show notes, but it's timewithlaurie.com. timewithlaurie.com. Can't get any easier than that as long as you spell my name right. And hopefully you know how to spell it. If you're a longtime listener, Laurie is how you spell my name. So timewithlaurie.com. Again, we'll put that in the show notes. And so in terms of next year, if you're making an intention to start thinking about your eventual transition, what your business is worth, and understanding, what's the gap? What could I be working on? Those are all great questions, and I would love to help you find answers to those. So that is an open invitation. Now, that brings me to the third thing that I am excited about in 2025, and that is a second podcast that we have launched called The Entrepreneur Gene. And if you haven't yet listened to this show, definitely want to encourage you to do so. It's a sister show. So if Succession Stories is all about looking in the rear view, Entrepreneur Gene is all about looking ahead. And I think if you love Succession Stories, you will also enjoy The Entrepreneur Gene. You can find it in any of your podcast players. And I talk with entrepreneurs who are building their business. They are in the trenches, and I so appreciate all the hard work and what makes entrepreneurs tick. And so that's essentially where we start out all the conversations is there an entrepreneur gene, and what does it mean to you? And so many of their answers, every answer has been so different. It's really, really interesting. And so excited, so appreciative of everybody who's come on the show. We're growing that. It's a fast growing show. Check it out. And just another open invitation. If you know an entrepreneur who would be great for either show, send me an email to contact@btsherpa.com. And I'll put that link in the show notes with your recommendation. And if it's for Succession Stories, let us know what your Succession Story is all about, and my producers will be in touch. So I want to wrap things up here. We covered a lot of ground in a very short period of time. We talked about what I'm thankful for this year, lessons I've learned from my guests, and what I'm looking forward to in the new year. And I have some invitations for you to connect with me and follow up, and ways that you can be part of this community. So I want to leave you with my favorite quote. It is from astronaut Jim Lovell, who was part of the crew on Apollo 13. And this quote was hanging above my chairman's office. And it reads like this: there are people who make things happen. There are people who watch things happen. And there are people who wonder what happened. To be successful, you need to be a person who makes things happen. So that's my wish for all of you. Let's manifest, let's put that in the world, and let's make things happen together. I'm wishing you a wonderful holiday season, and I look forward to sharing more Succession Stories with you in 2025.